Hey, Danny Mattei here, founder of PT Biz, and today we're going to talk about one area in your clinic that literally might be costing you tens of thousands of dollars and how you can start to work on correcting that. So recently I had a conversation with a clinic owner that was walking me through their numbers on their contact request forms. Now, with most of these clinics, what happens is people find your business through a search of some sort. Maybe they're looking on a map for businesses like yours within a certain proximity, or maybe they see it from an ad. From there, they usually go to some sort of contact request, either form or self-booking time to talk to your team. Now, just because somebody fills out a form or somebody books a time to talk to you doesn't mean that they're going to show up. Okay. People are busy. People miss appointments. People lose motivation for making some of these hard changes that they know that they need to make in their life. So this clinic owner was walking me through the data that they had, and the numbers look basically like this. They had about 50 either self-booking slots to talk to their team on an auto calendar, or they had that plus a combination of contact requests. People submitted a request to talk to their team. So combined, there were 50 of those. They had a 40% throughput of those people becoming new patients or coming in for initial evaluation. So that means of the 50 people that contacted them, only 20 made it through the door to actually do their initial evaluation. And now obviously there's drop off there as well, people not coming back after that. So that means there's 30 people that didn't end up coming in. Now, if you can take that number from 40% to 70%, you're going to end up with 35 new patients instead of 20. Now, let's do the math on that. Let's assume the initial plan of care is $2,000 per person. That means that you have 15 more people potentially that are coming in and are going to have a $2,000 plan of care. This is assuming everybody converts at that point, which is obviously not the case, but this makes my math easier. So this is 15 more people times an initial value of $2,000. That means that you have left $30,000 on the table. In this example, that hurts me to say that out loud. That hurts anybody that is dealing with a low throughput through the very top of their business funnel. Okay. This is where people are reaching out to you. This is where people are starting their relationship with you. And we got to talk about the numbers around healthcare in general in terms of speed in which we're contacting people. It's abysmal in our profession in general. And I'll share some statistics with you because one of the benefits to being in the healthcare world is we don't actually have to be the best in the world at this one variable because our industry is so bad at it. Okay. So here are some basic numbers. All right. When you look at the average time it takes for a healthcare clinic to reach back out to a lead, it's 2 hours and 5 minutes. So a little over 2 hours. The average consumer is expecting for you to reach out to them within 10 to 15 minutes. So here's the disconnect. The consumer says, I expect somebody to reach out to me in 10 to 15 minutes. I'm interested right now. The average clinic doesn't do it for 2 hours and 5 minutes, if they frankly probably do it at all. Okay. Clinics on average have an 11% conversion rate. Now you got to keep in mind, this is also looking at hospital clinics and big clinics where I don't know if you've ever gotten on like a traditional, hospital site or bigger clinic site. It's very hard to get in touch with anybody. If you submit something, who knows where it's going to go? You're going to get any confirmation about that whatsoever. And only about 1 in 9 people end up converting. So only about 11% are going to come in. And in fact, only about 3.2% of people that actually submit a request on a medical site end up coming in to be seen by that practice because the follow-up is so abysmal. It's terrible. So here's the other thing that's really interesting. We call this, in PT Biz, the business that I run now, we're very big on something called speed to lead. So if someone engaged with us, it's the speed in which we re-engage them or follow up with them, right? To facilitate a conversation. If someone expresses interest in talking to our team, we want to reach out to them as quickly as we possibly can. Now, if you can respond to somebody within 5 minutes, it increases the likelihood they'll become a client by 100 times, not 100%, 100 times. Okay. 100 times increase in the likelihood that they become a client. And again, like I said, keep in mind, people are busy. They lose motivation. They forget about things. They have a lot going on. Everybody is like that. So if you know that you can respond within 5 minutes and it increases the likelihood they'll become a customer by 100 times, it's probably worth doing that, right? Now, you may have somebody sitting around waiting to be able to respond to everything, and that's fair. That's okay. But we can put systems in place that really help us improve speed of lead and improve our follow-up process. Because keep in mind, in this one example, we're talking about the difference of, let's call it $30,000 in a month. Even if it's half that, right? Let's say only half those people, no matter what you do, or would convert and become a client, you're still talking about $15,000 in this example, or $180,000 in a year. That's a difference of hiring a staff member or not. That's a difference in your staff schedule being full or not. And also keep in mind, this is happening. Like this isn't anything you have to change. This isn't anything you have to spend more money on necessarily to get more leads. And that's usually where people think that they need more help. They say to themselves, I don't have enough leads. Well, do you not have enough leads, or are you not doing enough to convert the leads that you already have? Because if both problems exist, you have to solve the conversion problem first, right? Even if you're saying, well, I'm only getting 10 leads, but only 3 out of the 10 are coming in, let's solve that problem first before we try to get you 20 leads. Because if we don't, you're going to have the same percentage throughput, and we're going to have an even bigger drop off of people that are not going to end up working with you, and you're paying for those leads, or you're working really hard to get those leads. And that is where we got to fix this problem first. It's like having a hole in a bucket you're trying to fill up with water. It just doesn't work, okay? But if we can go from 40% to 70%, it makes an astronomical difference in terms of the revenue that your clinic is going to be able to generate with already established interest and inbound leads. All right, so number one, we have to increase the speed of follow-up. And there's a few ways that we can actually do this, okay? So number one, you can have a auto response in place. And I highly recommend doing this. It's really important. But people expect an auto response, right? And that's fine. But if you don't have that, that puts you in a really bad spot. So if somebody signs up to talk to your team, let's say that you have a talk to us page, a contact us page, and on that, they can self-select a time to talk to your team. That's already a big upgrade from a contact request form, but they pick a time. From there, they should get an auto response, an email, and potentially a text as well, confirming the time, confirming the details of everything, and that is something that they've signed up for. They've gotten a response to say, yep, we have this locked in. We will call you at this time. Okay, that's one thing. Now, after that, if you can have somebody manually reach out to that person within 5 minutes, let's say 5 to 15 minutes, here's what's going to happen. That person has already expressed interest. They've just booked a time to talk to you. Now, let's say that time to talk to you is in like 5 days, something like that, right? The further out that it goes, the further out that they go on the schedule, the less likely it is that they're actually going to come in. If they book within 24 hours, it's far more likely that they're going to end up actually becoming a client versus if they book 5 days out. It also increases your no-show rate, your cancellation rate. You're going to have fewer people follow through on that because, again, they're busy and they lose motivation. They forget, other shit gets in the way, they cancel it. Or they don't even cancel it, they just move, they put something else there. So if you can reach out to them while they're interested in booking, they're much more likely to be interested in having a conversation about that, right? Or at a minimum, even seeing if you can bump that up, right? So you could have your admin or whatever it is that you want to put in charge of this, have a notification that you just got a new confirmation that somebody has scheduled a time, and they're going to reach out to them proactively to talk to them, to confirm that, to maybe even be able to get them scheduled ahead of time, or to maybe even bump up that conversation they have with somebody else that you can then manually transfer them to. So it's all about compressing the time in which they can have that conversation. If they can handle the conversation, even better. Because cool, we can talk about it. Oh yeah, we deal with this all the time. Here's how we work. Let's get you in for an eval with doctor, whoever, they're awesome on this date. How does that work for you? Cool. Now, think about you as the consumer. If you're on, you're at work and you're looking for somebody to help you with your back pain because you're sitting all day or whatever and getting really stiff. You find this clinic, you submit a time you want to talk to them, whatever. You're still at work and they call you in 5 minutes and they leave a message, even if you don't answer, they leave a message. Hey, this is so-and-so from this clinic. Just wanted to reach out. I saw that you booked with us. Would love to see if we can, handle what's going on and get you in earlier to talk to one of our staff members or for an evaluation. Go ahead and, give me a call back here if you get a chance. And if they pick up, even better, because then you can have that conversation, right? So, but imagine that on the consumer side. Does that increase your likelihood of wanting to work with that business or decrease it? In most people's case, obviously it's increasing it because you're showing that you are fast to reach out. You're responsive. You're somebody that is engaged as far as your business goes. And keep in mind, they're comparing you to other healthcare businesses. They're not comparing you to the Ritz-Carlton. They're comparing you to other healthcare businesses. It's not that hard to beat traditional healthcare. Remember, 11% of people that reach out actually become a patient. Only 11%. Even in not necessarily the best scenario, this clinic was 40%. They're almost 4 times the national average for healthcare clinics. So if you can just take that extra step, do that non-automated thing that is so important, that can make a massive difference. Now, let's say you call that person and they don't answer. What do you do after that? Well, we can have text message follow-up. A lot of times people are much better via text. Maybe they don't have time to get on a call, but they can respond to a text. So you can call and then leave a text follow-up. Hey, this is so-and-so from this clinic. Just reaching out to you. Let us know, if you have any questions or if we can get you in any earlier. Do you have any time available to talk later today? A text, you'll get a much, much bigger response from a text than you will from a call back, just from somebody leaving a voice message. A lot of people don't even check their voice messages. They just literally don't respond unless you send them a text. So keep in mind, that's huge as well. And then you can follow up that same day with a follow-up email, hopefully something that adds some sort of value. Maybe it's hey, we got your booking time locked in. I wanted to share this with you. This is, a couple videos that our team has put together. You've told us that you're having some sort of back issue. Here's a couple exercises that our team put together that are just general things that can help people with a stiff lower back, which sounds like you're dealing with. Maybe try these in the meantime. Something that is value driven, specific to that person. That's ideal. But even if it's generalized, this is better than what most people are doing. Most people are not calling anybody in any sort of significant, fast period of time. Nobody is sending a text message and nobody's sending an email. And if they are, it's very, very generalized. So even if you can do this in a somewhat non-automated way, more individualized way, you're going to have an increased response. Now, a lot of people drop off there. They stop there. The next day, you got to call them back or text them again. The third day, call them back or text them again. What we want to typically have is 5 to 7 touch points between email, text, and phone calls for people to eventually cross that line. Now, once they have shown that they're not over the course of 1 to 2 weeks, well, that's when you move them into long-term follow-up, which is probably going to be your newsletter. So you having an ongoing newsletter where you're sharing value, you're sharing content that you're doing, you're sharing updates on the clinic, this is where they go into long-term follow-up. But the vast majority of clinics are not doing 5 to 7 touch points. Most of them are doing 0 to 1. It's 0, I get this automated stuff that went out. They didn't show up. Oh, they're a bad lead. That's not necessarily true. Maybe they just lost motivation. Maybe we could have followed up with them in a more individualized way and they would have been a great patient. We would have really been able to help them. So even if they do a call the day that it happens, maybe it's not for a few hours, then they say, oh, they didn't answer, move them into long-term follow-up, put them on the newsletter list. They're obviously not interested. And that's just not the case. You have to be more diligent about follow-up 5 to 7 times. And if you don't have time to do this, this is a great opportunity for why you might want to hire an admin, or somebody that can actually help with this process. Now, what if you hire somebody and they're not the best at having those conversations? That's okay. They can take the low-hanging fruit, people that are referred by other people, and they're like, yeah, I just want to get scheduled. I want to book, whatever. Okay, cool. I'll get you set up. No problem. People that are coming from ads, or maybe they're less aware of your business, that's where you can then set a time to talk to one of the physical therapists. And you say, okay, cool. Yeah, I would love for you to talk to, Doc so-and-so. They can answer these questions in a lot more detail than I can. I'm not a clinician. How does that sound? Oh, great. let's go ahead and do that. Okay, how about I have him call you today after his patients or over lunch or after her patients, whatever, and they'll go ahead and give you a call and they can have a conversation about, what's going on with you and see if it's the right fit for us to work with you. And if not, they'll be able to really give you a better idea of what you should look to do next. And for a lot of people, that's a ton of value. I mean, how many people actually talk to the actual medical provider they're going to work with in a hospital before they come in? It's very, very rare. And if they are going to do it, they're probably charging you for it. So these are where we can add value along the way. So overall, the long story short, here's what you got to keep in mind. Number one, you need to track your numbers, track everything. In fact, this clinic owner, we wouldn't have even known that there was a drop-off problem if he wasn't tracking it. Because for a lot of people, they just look to see, is my schedule busy? How many new evaluations do I have? All that stuff. You need to track this stuff, okay? So whether that's in a Google Sheet, in a CRM, a tool that's like software, or you're using something like a Monday board, it's sort of like a Excel sheet on steroids. Whatever it is, you're tracking these things. You're tracking touch points. You're tracking where they're coming from and whether they're converting or not. You need to know these numbers so you can be very clear about how you're doing and what you might need to actually improve. Now, once you have a clear idea of how these things are going, that's when you can start to make some of these changes. And you can start to implement faster follow-up, better follow-up, automated, responses. If you don't have those already, those are the easiest thing to start with, because it at least lets people know, hey, you're verified. We're going to talk to you at this point in time and this date, whatever it is. But then having people on your team that can actually reach out in a non-automated way to have conversations faster. Speed is really important. It's step number one. Then it's about consistency. It's just, and people say, well, I'm just feel like I'm pestering them. I'm bothering them. No, that's not the way the consumer looks at it. Now, if you do this every day for years, or you do this every day for a month, yes, you're bothering them. But in the first 1 to 2 weeks, you need to pester them because they've obviously showed you they're interested. And keep in mind, physical therapy is delayed gratification. Nobody wants to come to see us. Nobody. You think people want to go to the dentist? They do not. They don't like going to the dentist. They do it because they dislike cavities more than they dislike the dentist. Okay? They want to keep their teeth, but they don't like to go to the dentist, and they don't want to go to physical therapy either. You understand that. We are not a pleasant option for people. If they're coming to see us, that means they're hurt or they're dealing with something that they can't actually do. They can't run, they can't jump, they can't play a sport with their kid. They're not necessarily booking themselves a spa day. Okay, they're not looking forward to it. So we have to follow up with them and keep that in mind, because if they don't come in to see us, what happens? They deal with the same shit, they ignore the same shit, they avoid all the same stuff, and they miss out on using their body in life for the things they love most, the people they love doing them the most with, period. And your team needs to understand that. Your team needs to keep that top of mind. That's what we help people with. And they don't want to come in to see us, but damn it, we're helpful. We're very, very helpful. So it's our job to get them in the door. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Fortune is in the follow up, and so many people are not doing it. They're not prioritizing it, and it's because they forget that we're here to serve people and help people. And sometimes those people aren't jumping at the chance to work with us, and that is totally normal. So remember, speed to lead. Get on the phone with them within 5 to 15 minutes if you can. Massive increase in the likelihood that they're going to become a client. It's worth it to try to do so. And I know you may not be able to do it because you're busy with other things. That's fine. Try to get in touch with them as fast as you possibly can. Then follow up, follow up, follow up. Multitude of different touch points between text, email, and phone call. And then make sure that you try to get them on a call, get them on some sort of like touch point with you faster so that they can then make a decision to either come in to work with you or maybe it's not the right decision. But either way, they will lose motivation. You want to catch them while that motivation is the highest so you can get them in the office and really help them make the change they're looking forward to making. So hope this helps you. Remember, these small changes can be the difference of literally 6 figures in revenue, if not multiple 6 figures in revenue at scale in your clinic. It's worth it for you to look at. It isn't the coolest shit in the world. I get it, but it is the operational stuff that makes a big difference between whether your business is functional or whether your business is mediocre and just sort of limps along. So hope this helps. As always, thank you for watching and listening. I'll see you next time.